This is Laura Grace Weldon reading Earthbound. Are we supposed to settle for a planet lagging behind our expectations? We want reversible time, admission into past or future easy as changing our minds. We want teleportation, so we can zip anywhere for the afternoon, maybe Iceland or Argentina, where we'll make new friends, agree to meet up for lunch next week in Greece on only an hour's break. We want to get past greed and suffering and war. Enough already. And death? That's awfully primitive for souls with so much left to learn. That said, this planet does a lot right. Birds, for one. Water in all its perfect manifestations. Those alive poems called trees. The way a moment's glance can reveal a kindred spirit. Which we all are, really. The oneness between self and everything is this planet's secret, kept imperfectly. That's more than we might expect, although time travel would be nice. This is Laura Grace Weldon reading Summer Day at Huntington Beach. I tick with alarm clock worry. My sister is afraid of nothing. Not the dark, or death, or Jay Preslin down the street who pushes kids in front of cars. Look at her run into the water while I stand squinting. She doesn't pinch her nose to dive under, doesn't pause before splashing back strange, splashing kids, doesn't heed the lifeguard's megaphoned warning to stay away from the ropes. Lake Erie grabs at the shore, slurps it greedily in foaming waves. I picture monstrous, goggly-eyed fish lurking under the pier, ships scudding in the depths, lost sailors forever unburied. I inhale the curved scent of suntan lotion, clench my toes in the sand, stand still. Far out, bobbing in foil bright waves, my sister is another being entirely, straining at the boundary ropes, trying to see all the way to Canada. This is Laura Grace Weldon reading Subdural Hemotoma. Thank you, Dr. Gandhivarma Subramaniam. Squeezed into pain's tight grip, my son finally agrees to an ER visit, where images of his brain's convoluted architecture show it pushed aside by blood's gleaming fist. Seated in waiting room furniture thickly layered with other people's prayers, we pass time knuckled and blank, while neurosurgeons saw open his skull. I think of the girl who fell 10,000 feet from a broken plane into Peru's jungle. Tightly clustered trees cushioned her, their limbs breaking to set her on the forest floor, still safely strapped in her seat. Wearing white sandals and a frilly dress, she walked along a stream 11 days to find rescuers. At first, those men feared she might be a river ghost. I want to strap my own son in so miraculous a seat, drop him in a current where time rushes backward, before a guy late for his shift at a donut shop makes an illegal left turn, before my son's helmet hits the car, before my son's body skids down the pavement, before vessels begin leaking into the dear, familiar head I first glimpsed in the birthing room. Benjamin wakes, blue eyes watery against ghostly pale skin, map of a dark river etched deep across his forehead. He turns to us, jesting, no drain bramage, to let us know he's out of the jungle. This is Laura Grace Weldon reading Forgetting Names. I can't call up the familiar name of our vet, who walked out back with us through heavy snow to check our feverish cow in this day's quickening darkness. My skittering memory only shows me his thick hair and wise eyes, his hand gently resting on the head of our old dog like a blessing easily bestowed. No name comes to my lips, although somewhere a space in my mind prompts the letter D. Eyes closed, I drift into that space, untangled like a fish free of a net swims gratefully into open waters. There I remain, no thought at all for long moments, when somewhere behind my eyelids I see a complicated garment sagging at the shoulders, where it's held as if by invisible hands. I know this is the lifetime my soul wears. Vastness like a perfect secret stays with me as I open my eyes, remembering, of course, we're outfitted in ordinary guises, going by names as if we are simply human, and I recall the name he wears. It's Dave. This is Laura Grace Weldon reading Perfectly Good. The chair broke years ago, leaving jagged oak at its topmost edge. Repairs never held, and here my youngest son sits, his face lit from within like all God's children. If I could, I'd fashion everything broken into a greater whole, making for him a bridge to his highest possibilities. Instead, he eats supper with sharp wood bristling at his ear, and when I suffer it aloud, the boy says, "It's perfectly good." This was the mantra of my childhood, spoken over fat and gristle left on my plate till I forked those last bites in my reluctant mouth. Invoked with each hand-me-down, even though Jennifer Kling's mother always made me wear suspenders at her house to spare her my sagging trousers. Implied in a fistful of stubby No. 2 pencils my schoolteacher father saved from the classroom trash can, the same ones my mother darkened her eyebrows with each morning. Today my son helped with yard work at my childhood home, then stopped, CSI-faced, to hold up a dark, loamy figure. My mother dismissed it casually. "Oh, the overcoat and the azaleas." Her father's moth-eaten wool coat, good tailoring still apparent in the shoulders, was too good to discard, but perfectly suited to smother weeds 40 long years. Standing next to her in the doorway, I knew identity as something broader than a name. This is who we are. Resilient enough to chew the fat, hitch up our pants, and raise our brows, smoothing the way for our children the best we can. I grew up missing my grandfather, yet all the while his coat lay right outside the window, arms spread wide, keeping a place for flowers to grow. This is Laura Grace Weldon reading Inside Out. Only by snapping open scarlet runner bean pods do we see they are lined with fuzz, shaped to each vividly hued bean like a viola case to its instrument. Only by slicing open a trout are its bones revealed, lined up like pews facing the back of a moving church, its scripture stories of what came before. We see stars only in the darkness, feed aflame only by burning, fuel our bodies only with what lived. You'd think we'd see a pattern, yet are surprised when loss tilts our world, life stream into waterfall. We're told grief ebbs, when all we want to do is bring sorrow's fullness out in the sun's cleansing light. Lay it on the rocks, let it air.